Good morning. This is a subarctic beekeeper, one of the many, north of Fairbanks, Alaska. Our temperatures have gone from above 100 degrees in the direct sun to 60s degree Fahrenheit, 60-degree range. I read some stuff the other night on varroa, got my paranoia up again, and I'm drenching my bees, which means that I am spraying my bees with stuff that'll help them hypergroom each other, so pull mites off. I already do various things to control mites. I remove the drone comb, I treat them in the spring and in the fall, and in mid-season if I find any sign of mites. Check their mite boards every time I'm out here, which is a lot. What else do I do? I've been feeding them Hive Alive. I'm not sponsored by Hive Alive, but I have to say that my bees love that stuff. So I've been mixing it in with sugar syrup for the days when we have poor weather and the bees aren't getting out, which has been on and off. But on and off enough to call it consistently through this summer. We've had cold temperatures, rain, hail, and then blazing heat that dries everything out. The Hive Alive contains thymol that helps build some resistance from mites. The varroa mite carries various diseases, sucks the blood out of the bees. And winter's coming for us. Even though it's the end of July, we have to get prepared. We have to make sure our colonies are big. We actually have to start getting prepared in the springtime to make sure colony health is up to par and we're not having any issues. Our bees don't have much time to do the stuff they do. So I'm just going to show you how I'm drenching. I've got a little nuke hive here, polystyrene hive. I've got next to my hive stand, which is a small table, in my hascat berry bushes, a tote which is sits right under the overhang of the table, so that as I remove frames I can put the frames in there and I don't lose any bees, particularly the queen. This hive in particular has been bizarre. Had a queen in here from last year who was cranking out the brood wonderfully, and I think she absconded. She may have died. I don't know why she would have died though. So it's been queenless on and off, and I've been building it with brood frames from other hives that are making a lot of brood. And I've even done the notch system. You take a frame, it's got larvae on it, you put a little notch in one of those cells, and the workers then proceed to create a queen. Not always. This was taught to me last year by guys at the Honeybee Health Coalition, the Bee Informed Partnership. They came for the National Honeybee Survey, and I'm willing to take any information I can get, with critical thinking involved, of course. But it worked on another hive. So I'm pulling off a feeder. I've got a feeder on because of the crazy weather, and this hive doesn't have a queen. So I want a lot of encouragement. We do have a lot of things still blooming. Fireweed in particular, if you can see any, I don't think you can. And I plant for my bees, so there's a lot out there for them, for natural nectar and pollen. I've got my smoker, can you hear it? Along with hockey tape, which is my favorite smoker bag repair thing. It's just sitting next to the hive. I don't know that I'm gonna need it or not. I do have some foam board insulation, pretty beat up. It's been used a lot over the years. It works well. I use it to cover my hives, so it provides an awning, and it's useful for having a place to set the boxes as I remove them, to do things like piss my bees off by drenching them. So I'm gonna knock, and you won't be able to see this, but I'm gonna knock my lid to knock the bees off and set my lid off to the side, and here they come. The smoke has been drifting, and I will move this camera so you can kind of see the condition of these bees. Maybe I can just do this. There's not many in there. There's been no new brood, aside from the brood that I've inserted from other hives. They're not eating the pollen, super pollen patty I've made for them. They are chunking away at the Hive Alive fondant. My bees love that stuff as well. They're a little insecure. We could say defensive, we could say protective, we could say insecure. People respond kind of the same way, no matter how they're feeling. That's not bee psychology, of course, but if you think of them as feeling that way because I'm in their hive, then maybe it's easier to maintain a calm, zen sort of mindset that allows one to move slow. I've got an empty frame here that I'm going to put right back down because I need to get my spray bottle. I need that handy. It's got my Drench in it, which is 1:1 sugar syrup with Hive Alive in it. I carry one of these with me in my pocket. It's not the greatest thing in the world, but when I find a new queen, I can grab her and then put her in my queen marking cage. The problem with this is that when you pick it up, if you pick it up by the handle and open it, they escape. So you have to pick it up by the cage. I like to have it close by because I'd rather not spot the queen and then have to go to my bee bucket. I'll show you the bee bucket. Said bee bucket, with all my stuff in it, to look for a queen cage. Back to the Drench. And now I'm distracted because I see some blue pollen on one of the bees. Always good to see. It's from the fireweed. So I'm looking at the bees, watching their behavior, listening to their sound. They sound pretty mellow. When they're queens, they typically don't sound mellow. I'm going to squirt the cripe, come on baby, out of this frame because I learned the other day, after 8 years of beekeeping, 8 years, I think. Why is it hard to count in the subarctic? Because our seasons are short. Our winters are long and cold and dark. Some would say we're not beekeeping during that time, but those of us who overwinter, which should be all of us, know that that season is long. The bees are hived up for 5, 6, 7 months, depending on the weather. Nothing's happening. Always have your bee equipment ready before you start doing your thing. Why is it not working? Critical thinking at work. Please use critical thinking. So I've either got a plugged nozzle or the stuff is not deep enough. The stuff is deep enough. This is just a spray bottle I got at a hardware store. I sterilized it. We'll just talk while I do this. Sterilized it, have it filled with my stuff, and what I'm going to do is sweat. That's what happens. And spray my bees. We have projected 4 or 5 days of rain coming up. Can you believe this? I'm actually making a video and it's not working. I can believe it. How you doing? How's your day going? If this is not going to work for me today, before I go to my regular job, I'm going to have to do it tonight, which means coming home after a long day of human work and sticking a lot of hot water in this thing to freeze it up. There might be some sugar that's gotten stuck in there that didn't melt all the way, I'm not sure. Not working. Sometimes you gotta call it, right? All right, it's going over here. I'm still gonna do a hive check. So what was gonna be a drenching video is now a hive check video of a nuke hive. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 frame nuke, polystyrene. I'm going to pull all of the frames out and see what's going on with these ladies. I don't think they're very happy. A lot of empty cells. We've got some pollen, we've got some nectar. Other side, got a supersedure cell there. We've got what looks to be on the bottom here, the beginning of a swarm cell. There's nothing in it. I'm not sure why there would be a swarm cell in there, but they know better than me. Pollen and nectar on this frame. Also, remnants of pollen patty and Hive Alive. And you can see the texture of the Hive Alive fondant. They're digging it. So these bees are mostly of the age of foraging. You want to have bees of all ages in the hive. Why? Because they all have different jobs. And if you don't have all the bees, then no one's doing their job. Next frame. We've got some bees on there. We've got a few drones, a couple supersedure cells, one that is sealed. I'm going to blow on it. They're making a queen. They've made several attempts at making a queen, but we've got a queen cell right there, which means that, hot dang, we don't know how old the queen cell is. I wish someone would come up with a table that measures the size of the queen cell and says how long it's been there. We don't know how long it's been there, but it's there. And I have enough drones to fertilize her. The question is whether or not we're going to have the warm weather for her to mate. She's not going to fly out and mate in this kind of weather, that's for sure. We've got to have the drones out flying, and we've got to have the queens out flying so they can do their thing midair. Midair? They do it midair, they mate, and then he dies. Tragic story. But that's the purpose of the drone, the male bees. All the bees in the hives are female workers. Another frame. The population's dwindling, folks. This hive may need to be combined with another before winter. We got another supersedure cell. You can see it, looks like a little teacup. I'm looking at them, watching their movements, seeing if we have any deformed wing virus in this hive, if they're bringing in any pollen. They seem to be gorging themselves on nectar. Why do I say that? Because for many of them, their little butts are the only thing visible inside the cells, instead of the ones that are walking around, not gorging. The ones that are head first in the cells gorging. Means they're hungry. There's some big daddy drones in there. You can see with the big eyes, larger than the other ones. Thicker. The queen is longer than the others and not as bulbous. It's my hive tool. 2 more frames. This is a real small hive colony. More nectar and pollen. The nectar is the shiny stuff. The pollen is the orange stuff. Orange, blue, yellow, gold, white, we get it all. These bees aren't putting it up. Smidgen amount of honey, smidge of capped honey. If this queen does not hatch, mate, and start laying very fast, I'll have to combine this small colony with a larger colony for winter, because they can't go into winter like this. A frame of honey that I stuck in there to help them survive. That's what happens when you lose a queen. So what I could do, one option, is to order a queen that's already mated. She'd likely come from out of state. We're in Alaska. I like Olivera's honeybees. They'll ship up here. They're not afraid to ship to Alaska. Some people are. They think it takes months. They can get a queen up here within a couple days. Well, actually, typically overnight, if I order at the right time. But I really have to be mindful of when I'm ordering it, what day of the week, and what time of day, because of the time change. We're 4 hours behind Eastern Standard Time. They're not on Eastern Standard, but you get the idea. I'm moving some of these hive frames around, which is typically a no-no. What I just did, because I'm doing 2 or 3 things at one time, is I put the frame with the queen cell. Just want to verify I made the right thing here. Put the queen cell frame, yep, on the end, queen cell. I'm going to put the end that does not have the queen cell facing towards the outer wall. Inside facing is the queen cell. So when she hatches, she immediately has food. She has a frame to lay. Well, she won't start laying right when she comes out. Right, she's got a couple days to mature. She's got access to food, etc. And I'm going to take that empty frame, which now has bees kind of flaccid. I will not say failure because I don't like that word. Nobody's failed. They're doing what they need to be doing, whether I like it or not. This colony has enough food in it with the pollen patty and the Hive Alive that's left over. But I'm going to add some sugar syrup because clearly they're not getting enough. We're about to hit 4 or 5 days of rain, which means they won't leave the hive. And I want them to have everything they need, particularly when that queen could hatch today. Please let the queen hatch today. I want them to have everything they need to do their thing. They're looking at me as I'm looking at them. That's it for this hive. This has been a subarctic beekeeper, one of the many. There's a lot of us that overwinter our hives up here. Don't believe the hype. Take care of yourselves. Take care of your bees. Take care of each other. Come on, Ukraine. Come on, Ukraine. Come on, the world uniting behind Ukraine. Let's get this over with. Let's get some peace in the world. This video is copyrighted, all rights reserved. Take care.